Hi everyone, we are going to discuss about the reading section of the IELTS test. If you've got any questions, you can post them here in the chat box. My name is Rajiv. I've been training on IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, GRE, GMAT for almost 15 years now, and there are lots of participants who have cleared IELTS and other tests with excellent scores. So we are going to discuss about a few tips and techniques related to IELTS and some best practices used by the IELTS winners, how they cleared the test and how they approached, what changes did they incorporate in their learning strategies, and how they approached the test. Like today we had one interview with one of the girls who cleared IELTS after in the second attempt, and when I asked what changes did she incorporate in her reading style, one specific thing that she shared was that up until now she was doing reading in a in the way that she was doing the questions first. So she used to read the questions, and after reading the questions, she was actually trying to figure out where the answer would be. So I suggested during the coaching that instead of reading the questions first, you should do go one paragraph at a time, because questions are in sequence. So what you can actually do is read one paragraph at a time and do the questions related to that paragraph. And this simple strategy helped her to finish the whole test in the given time span and get the required bands in her reading test. So this is what exactly it is. What you should do is, rather than doing reading the whole passage first and then doing the questions, you can read one paragraph at a time and do the questions related to that paragraph. So basically, if you read the whole passage and you try to answer questions related to the whole passage, you actually overload your mind with a lot of extra information which is not required. So if you read one paragraph only, it is easy to remember, and you can answer questions related to that paragraph and then move on to the next one. This keeps your mind very, very sorted. It's like cleaning your RAM every time you do one part of processing before you move on to the next one. So you can use this simple strategy to do good in the reading part of the IELTS test. Apart from this, there is one more strategy which I would like to talk about. It's called as the combination of scatter focus and hyper focus. I spoke about this earlier also in some videos. What it says is that whenever you do reading, don't be too concerned and too intense from the beginning itself. Your mind operates on two different levels, and they are called as scatter focus and hyper focus modes. So during scatter focus, your mind is a little relaxed, and during that time, it is important that you do not give it very challenging task. Give it something which is very easy to understand. Like for example, you can read the whole passage in one go and just try to get the big picture when your mind is operating in the scatter focus mode. After reading the passage once you gather the basic idea, you can go for hyper focus, where you can then work on specific questions related to the passage and answer them. So basically, we have talked about two strategies. The first strategy is that you should read one paragraph at a time and answer questions related to that. Do not read the whole passage. Read one paragraph at a time and answer questions related to that. The second strategy I spoke about is a combination of scatter focus and hyper focus. Scatter focus is when your mind is a little relaxed. When it is a little relaxed, usually during the initial stages, you should try to get the big picture. Don't try to answer questions at that time, right? Like, for example, when you go for any kind of sport, you generally do a little bit of warm up exercise. Now, what kind of warm up exercise can you do in case you are going for an IELTS test, or in case you are going for any kind of exam, right? Your mind needs a little warm up in order to perform in the best possible manner. Now, the warm up equivalent to a warm up would be giving a little easier input to your mind so that your mind gets warmed up with the content of the passage. Once your mind gets warmed up, once you know, okay, this is the nature of the passage, it becomes very easy to relate to it and answer it. So, initially, give a little warm up to your mind by reading the passage, trying to just get the basic idea or the big picture, and then answer questions. So, two strategies. Number one paragraph at a time, don't read the whole passage. And number two, use this concept of scatter focus and hyper focus so that you use your mind in the most efficient manner. Okay. The third and the most important strategy is about answering questions. When you answer questions, 90% of the times you'll find that the questions are in sequence, which means the answer to the first question would be in the first paragraph. The second question would be in the second paragraph. The third question would be usually in the third paragraph. Now, it would not be literally the way I am speaking, but you got the idea. The questions are in sequence. So, if you know where is the answer, it is very easy to find out what is the answer. And there is a little clue about where is the answer, as I said. The answer would to the questions are in order. So if you are solving questions like MCQs or fill up the blanks, you can figure out where the answer would be based on the sequence of that question in the list of questions you get. So basically every passage has roughly 13 questions, right? Three passages, 39, 40 questions like that. So each passage would have 13 to 14 questions. Let's say you are on the third or fourth question and this question is an MCQ. So if it is a fourth question, you will usually find the answer to this question somewhere in the middle of the paragraph. It will not be at the beginning, it will not be at the end. But the answer to question number 13 would be usually at the end of the passage, right? So the questions are in sequence. We discussed three strategies. I'll quickly revise them. Number one, read one paragraph at a time and answer questions related to it. And this one is related to the last strategy which I said, that questions are in sequence. So read one paragraph at a time and do initial few questions. Then read the second paragraph, do some more questions. So this way your mind would always be very very fresh because you are not overloading your mind with a lot of information. The second strategy which I spoke about is combination of scatter focus and hyper focus, which means always give your mind a little time, like 10 seconds, 15 seconds to relax. Don't always be in a very intense mode where you are challenging your mind to give some answers, right? When you are reading the content, be a little relaxed. Try to understand what the passage is all about. What are the main bullet points about the passage? And the third strategy we talked about is that the questions are in sequence. You can actually, know where the answer would be. So for finding the answer to any question, there are two parts: where is the answer and what is the answer. Where is the answer can be solved based on the position of the question. If it is in the middle, the answer would be in the middle of the paragraph. If you are talking about some initial set of questions, it will be in the first few paragraphs. If you are talking about the last few questions, it will be in the last few paragraphs. So these are some simple strategies. In 10 minutes around, we have covered some simple strategies related to the reading part of the IELTS test. Now, in case you want to do a diagnostic test and if you want to see where you stand with regard to the IELTS test, and if you want to you know take a one-to-one feedback from me, I'm going to paste a link along with this YouTube live, and you can actually attempt the test paper and see where you stand, and we can then discuss the answers and I can suggest you the best strategy. It will also give you an opportunity to know where you stand at this point in time and what could be the best way to scale up to whatever 7.5 or 8 bands that you need for your IELTS test. So all the very best to you. In case you have any questions, you can send them to me. You can paste them in the link and we'll take it forward from there. All the best to you. Thank you so much.